Huh. You don't even realize what you just did, do you? You think you simply exposed someone's behavior, or outgrew someone, or stepped into a version of yourself that finally refused to shrink. But the truth is far heavier. You didn't just disrupt a person. You didn't just call out an intention. You didn't just interfere with something petty. You detonated an entire blueprint they spent months, maybe years, quietly crafting behind your back. They had a timeline, a strategy, a route, an outcome. They had a sequence prepared, rehearsed inside their head, practiced in their conversations with others, whispered in moments where they thought victory was guaranteed. They believed they were 10 steps ahead. They believed you were predictable, easy to read, easy to manipulate, easy to corner, easy to provoke. And then it happened, your shift. That moment where you moved differently, responded differently, held yourself differently, and suddenly the entire map they built around controlling you burned down in their hands. What you did wasn't planned, it wasn't calculated, it was natural. But natural for you is catastrophic for someone who depends on your vulnerability to maintain their illusion of power. While you were focused on growth, they were focused on dominion. While you were healing, they were plotting. While you were learning yourself, they were studying your weaknesses. But here's the part they never accounted for. People like you don't stay in the same pattern for long. People like you don't keep repeating the same emotional cycle. People like you don't remain blind to underlying intentions forever. You evolve too quickly, you see too deeply, you sense shifts before they unfold. And the moment your awareness upgraded, their entire design collapsed. They had a certain ending prepared for you, a downfall, a humiliation, a narrative where they emerged victorious. They imagined themselves standing tall while you spiraled. They pictured you questioning your worth. They envisioned you apologizing for things you never did, begging for clarity, asking for closure, trying to understand why they changed. And then you did the one thing they didn't expect. You changed first. That change didn't just jar them, it cracked their entire identity. Because their identity was built around who you used to be, not who you've become. They built their power through your doubt. They built their control through your empathy. They built their dominance through your confusion. But once you stopped feeding those things, once you stopped letting them tug at your emotions, once you stopped acting from the old version of you, their influence disintegrated. It wasn't gradual, it was instant. It was like someone unplugged their power source. Their confidence turned into panic. Their certainty turned into scrambling. Their rehearsed lines turned into stuttering. They thought you would crumble if they pulled away. Instead, you rose. They thought you would chase them. Instead, you stayed composed. They thought you would break down. Instead, you leveled up. And the moment you did, their entire plan ruptured. Because their plan depended on your previous self, your forgiving self, your trusting self, your patient self, your self-sacrificing self. They depended on the version of you who tolerated disrespect, the version of you who minimized red flags, the version of you who carried the emotional responsibility for everyone else. They depended on the version of you who didn't know what you deserved. But that version of you is gone. You didn't outgrow that phase. You abandoned it. You walked out of it with clarity. You walked out of it with self-trust. You walked out of it with a sense of who you are that no one can distort anymore. And the moment you stepped into that awareness, you unknowingly triggered a consequence for someone whose entire plan relied on you never waking up. That's why everything felt strangely intense around you lately. That's why conversations shifted. That's why energy from certain people turned sharp, frantic, inconsistent. They felt you slipping out of their control, and they panicked. Because if they lose influence over someone like you, they don't just lose a person, they lose access to your insight, your intuition, your generosity, the things they were secretly draining from you. They lose their supply of validation. They lose the emotional hold they once bragged about. And more importantly, they lose the ability to manipulate how others view you. See, understand something crucial. People who try to sabotage you rarely work alone. Even if they were acting individually, they were counting on others to believe their version of events. They were counting on your reactions to make them look credible. They were counting on you stumbling in ways that confirmed the narrative they quietly built about you. But you didn't stumble. You didn't collapse. You didn't react in a way that made them look right. You responded with a level of maturity that exposed their immaturity. You responded with emotional intelligence that highlighted their insecurity. You responded with truth that made their lies look cheap. And now, they're terrified. Not because you won, but because you removed their mask without lifting a finger. You didn't expose them through confrontation. You exposed them by evolving. Your growth was the spotlight they couldn't hide from. Your peace was the mirror they couldn't avoid. Your distance was the proof they never wanted anyone to see. You shook their entire internal foundation without saying a word. And the worst part for them? They can't reverse it. They can't undo your clarity. They can't rewrite your awareness. They can't re-enter your space as the person they pretended to be. That door is sealed permanently, and they know it. That's why they're spiraling now. That's why they're overthinking. That's why they're pacing mentally, replaying every moment where they thought they had the upper hand. Because you didn't just derail their plan, you revealed it to them. You made them realize how transparent they were the entire time. That's the part that cuts the deepest. They thought they were being clever, strategic, untouchable. But you saw through the cracks long before they noticed you noticing. You knew their energy was off. You sensed the shift in their intentions. You felt the tension underneath their words. You picked up signals they didn't think you could interpret. And even though you didn't confront them at first, your silence wasn't obliviousness. It was data collection. You were watching, analyzing, understanding. You were waiting for the moment where your next move didn't come from emotion, but from alignment. And once that moment came, everything collapsed for them. They expected chaos from you, but what they got was calm. They expected confusion, but what they got was certainty. They expected dependence, but what they got was detachment. That detachment, that was the explosion. Not loud, not dramatic, not theatrical, silent in execution, but devastating in impact. Because detachment is the one thing manipulators can't fight. You can't argue with someone who no longer plays the game. You can't twist the mind of someone who no longer seeks validation. You can't control someone who no longer fears losing you. And now they don't know what to do. Their entire persona is malfunctioning. Their tactics no longer land. Their emotional tricks no longer work. Their attempts to provoke you feel flat, powerless, almost embarrassing. And the fear they feel now, it isn't because you're dangerous. It's because you're unpredictable. You no longer respond in the ways they prepared for. You no longer fall into the traps they set. You no longer give them the emotional cues they used to interpret. You removed every leverage point they thought they had. And there's something else. They're not the only one who felt the shockwave. Someone connected to them. Someone who benefited from the downfall they planned for you. Someone who silently supported the agenda. That person sensed the collapse too. The ripple hit them before they even understood the cause. And now, the chain reaction has begun. Because when one person's plan falls apart, everyone aligned with that plan loses their footing. And now, they're scrambling. They're trying to figure out how you slipped out. They're trying to understand how their confidence turned into exposure. They're trying to predict your next move. But the truth is, you haven't even made it yet. You haven't even decided what comes next. You're just living authentically, and that alone is enough to destabilize every hidden scheme attached to your name. And this is where the transition begins, where everything they intended for you slides back toward them, where consequences start unfolding in ways even they didn't anticipate, where the people tied to their actions begin sensing the shift too, and where the narrative they constructed around you starts dissolving in front of their own eyes, because now something much larger has been triggered, something they never expected to awaken, something that moves toward them next, quietly but powerfully. They can feel it approaching, and they don't know how to stop it. They don't know how to redirect it. They don't know how to hide from it. Because whatever this new movement is, it isn't coming from you. It isn't coming from anything you're doing right now. It's coming from the collapse of the structure they tried to build around you. It's coming from the fragments of their own strategy spinning out of their control. It's coming from the energy they unleashed when they decided to target you, pressure you, shape you, and interfere with your path. And now that force, born from their own intentions, is circling back, magnified, mutated, sharpened, and pointed directly at them. They feel this pressure in their chest, not because you're coming for them, but because something else is. It's the recoil of everything they sent toward you. And recoil always hits the sender harder than the target. What they planned for you was measured, subtle, slow, designed to break you piece by piece. But what's returning to them now? It is fast, it is precise, it is merciless. Because it isn't returning in the form they expected. It's returning in the form of exposure. It's returning in the form of unraveling. It's returning in the form of the universe pulling the curtain back on their behavior while amplifying your strength and clarity. And the worst part, the part that terrifies them, is that their unraveling doesn't look chaotic from the outside yet. It looks organized. It looks timed. It looks like the consequences were waiting for the exact moment your perspective expanded. The moment your heart stabilized. The moment your inner world shifted into alignment with who you truly are now. That's why they feel so threatened. Not because you're reacting to them, but because you're no longer reacting at all. When you stopped responding, the balance of power flipped. All the weight they placed on you returned to their hands. All the projections they used to define you redirected to them. All the intentions they tried to disguise exposed themselves through their own behavior. And now they're the ones trying to hold everything together while pretending nothing is happening. They're the ones trying to act unbothered while their mind spirals. They're the ones walking around every day with the feeling that something is watching them, something is approaching them, something has shifted completely out of their favor. That's the moment their fear began, when they realized the energy around you changed in a way that no plan of theirs could reach anymore. Because you didn't just heal, you transformed. You didn't just rise, you recalibrated. You didn't just survive what they attempted. You outgrew it so thoroughly that the very tools they used against you became irrelevant. Their manipulation lost its grip because your awareness expanded beyond the version of you they studied. Their traps no longer worked because you're no longer the person they targeted. And their illusions shattered because you now see yourself with a clarity they never wanted you to have. That clarity is what detonated their universe, not your words, not your actions, not any confrontation, just your evolution. And evolution always exposes those who operate from stagnation. Now they're experiencing the consequences of something far deeper, the collapse of the narrative they built about you. Because the moment one piece cracked, every piece connected to it began breaking down. Every lie they told now has to be maintained through more lies. Every assumption they made now has to be defended through more effort. Every attempt to diminish you now draws attention to their own insecurity. They never expected their strategy to turn into a spotlight pointed at them, revealing exactly who they are when no one is watching. But that's the nature of intentions. They always reveal their source. What they intended for you has now become their own environment. And now, their life is shaped by the energy they tried to shape yours with. That's why their days feel heavy. That's why their decisions feel tense. That's why their mind feels crowded, restless, unable to settle. They were so focused on constructing a path for your downfall that they didn't notice the ground beneath them cracking. They didn't realize that by trying to sabotage your progress, they disconnected themselves from their own. They didn't understand that attacking you was never just about you. It was about exposing the truth inside them that they were trying to hide. Because your presence didn't just disturb their plans, it illuminated their weaknesses. And now, everything they buried is rising to the surface. People they counted on are starting to question them. People they used as validators are stepping back. People who once believed their version of events are beginning to see inconsistencies. The power they had socially, spiritually, emotionally, all of it is slipping. Not because you're doing anything, not because you need revenge, but because their energy is incompatible with the version of you that exists now. You became too aligned, too stable, too elevated for their tactics to land. Their strategies require you to be reactive. Their influence requires you to be insecure. Their plans require you to be weakened, but that version of you is gone, and they know it. They feel it deeper than they admit. They can sense that something has changed permanently, something that can't be reversed. And that's what destabilizes them the most, the understanding that they cannot undo your growth. They cannot re-enter your mind. They cannot pull you back into confusion. They cannot distort your path anymore. Their hold on you has dissolved completely, and all they can do is watch as your energy expands into spaces they never wanted you to reach. And the more you expand, the more their world compresses. Because the universe has a way of balancing things through a kind of spiritual physics. The pressure they added to your life now has to be released somewhere. And since you are no longer carrying it, that pressure returns to its origin. It compresses their internal world until cracks appear in every place they refuse to take accountability. They feel their relationships tightening. They feel their finances tightening. They feel their luck tightening. They feel opportunities slipping. They feel doors closing. They feel misunderstandings multiplying. This is what happens when someone directs destructive energy towards someone who is protected, not by people, but by purpose. Your purpose is what barricaded you. Your purpose is what deflected their intentions. Your purpose is what absorbed the impact and converted it into fuel for your evolution. And now that you've stepped into that purpose fully, everything that attempted to interfere with it faces collapse. They don't understand why things are going wrong for them. They don't understand why they feel watched. They don't understand why their intuition feels disrupted. They don't understand why their attempts to regain control keep backfiring. It's because their entire strategy depended on you staying unaware of who you truly are. But the moment you awakened to your own value, their plan dissolved. And now the real consequences begin. Not externally at first, but internally. They're haunted by the knowledge that they crossed a line. They're haunted by the understanding that they misjudged you. They're haunted by the realization that their intentions were seen, not by you, but by something greater. And now that force is shifting in your direction, amplifying your presence, magnifying your truth, and accelerating your growth. You became untouchable, not through aggression, but through alignment. And that alignment generates a ripple effect that stretches far beyond your immediate circle. People who never supported you suddenly feel drawn to you. People who dismissed you now feel compelled to watch you. People who underestimated you now feel an unfamiliar respect. And the person or group who targeted you, they feel the opposite. They feel exposed. They feel naked. They feel like they can't hide from the consequences of their own actions anymore. And those consequences move with precision. They show up in the form of opportunities bypassing them. They show up in the form of unexpected endings. They show up in the form of pressure building around their decisions. They show up in the form of realizations that strike them in quiet moments when they think no one is paying attention. They feel this force circling them, studying them, waiting for the moment when every lie collapses under its own weight. And they know, deep down, that they caused this. They summoned it through their own behavior. Your rise didn't punish them. Their intentions did. And that truth is what terrifies them now. Because this force that's approaching them isn't fueled by revenge. It's fueled by equilibrium. It's fueled by the principle that every action creates a ripple. And their ripple has grown into a tidal wave, returning to its source. They don't know when it will hit, but they know it's inevitable. They can feel it closing in with every passing day. They can feel it every time your name crosses their mind. They can feel it in the tension that builds whenever they think about what they did. And that tension is growing, tightening, compressing, because exposure is coming, not from you, not from others, but from the collapse of everything they built on deception. And as this collapse accelerates, a new shift begins, one they never anticipated, one that rewrites the entire trajectory of what happens next. And this new trajectory doesn't move slowly. It doesn't wait for them to prepare themselves. It hits instantly, like the air around them shifts without warning. One moment they think they can still salvage pieces of their strategy, and the next moment they feel everything slipping out of their hands at once. Because this shift isn't random. It's the natural aftermath of what happened the moment their demonic plan detonated in their face. They spent so long constructing a path designed to break you, blind you, isolate you, weaken you. And yet every thread they pulled ended up unraveling their own world instead. They never expected that. They were convinced they were safe in the shadows. Convinced you were predictable, convinced they could manipulate the timing, the emotions, the outcomes. But when they tried to engineer your collapse, They didn't account for the one thing that makes you impossible: to destroy your evolution. The more pressure they applied, the faster you expanded. The more traps they set, the sharper your awareness became. The more darkness they sent, the more your inner light intensified. They planned a breakdown, but what they accidentally triggered was a spiritual ignition. And nothing destroys a demonic plan faster than an awakened target. Now their entire reality is folding inward. Their confidence is cracking. Their control is dissolving. Every place where they once felt powerful now feels hostile, uncomfortable, exposed. Because the energy they projected at you has flipped direction completely. You're no longer the receiver, they are. And the weight they used to place on your shoulders now sits on theirs, with triple the force. That's why they can't sleep properly. That's why their mind keeps replaying moments. That's why they feel watched, not by you, but by the consequences of their own intentions. They sense something circling them. They sense something tracking them. They sense something closing in. And deep down, they know exactly what it is. The collapse of everything they built on deception. Their demonic plan relied on illusion. It relied on you being unaware of their motives. It relied on emotional access. It relied on subtle sabotage. But all of it imploded the moment you stepped into clarity. Because clarity is lethal to anyone operating from darkness. Clarity strips manipulation of its power. Clarity burns through deceit like heat through a frozen surface. And now, they're exposed. Not because you revealed anything, but because their plan wasn't designed to survive in the presence of someone who finally sees themselves. You became untouchable the moment you recognized who you truly are. And this is where the shift intensifies, when they realize your rise isn't just personal. It's cosmic, it's structural, it's foundational. You didn't just outgrow their influence. You shattered the entire energetic environment that allowed their influence to exist. Your elevation destroyed their leverage. Your awareness destroyed their access. Your healing destroyed their pathways. They can no longer reach you, and that terrifies them far more than the idea of you fighting back. They depended on your vulnerability, but now you have none left for them to exploit. And the moment they lost that, their universe started collapsing. One relationship after another, one lie after another, one manipulated connection after another. Every mask they used to wear is slipping. Every persona they relied on is cracking. People who once supported them now question their behavior. People who once believed them now notice inconsistencies. People who once followed them now sense something dark behind their smile. They're losing their audience. They're losing their influence. They're losing the illusion of control they built their identity around. Because your explosion sent shockwaves through their entire ecosystem. The collapse is not metaphorical, it's literal. You can see it in their posture. You can hear it in their tone. You can feel it in the tension around them. They're scrambling internally, trying to hold together the fragments of their plan while pretending nothing is wrong. But the harder they try to seem composed, the more obvious their unraveling becomes. Their energy is jagged now. Their decisions are desperate. Their reactions are inconsistent. They're being suffocated by the very forces they tried to weaponize against you. And what makes this collapse devastating for them is that no one is doing it to them. It's not revenge. It's not retaliation. It's pure consequence. Their world is crumbling under the weight of their own intentions. They didn't just underestimate you, They misunderstood the entire balance of power. They thought you were the weak link. They thought you were the easy target. They thought you were someone they could break quietly, without anyone noticing. But instead, you became the catalyst for their exposure. You became the activation point for their downfall. You became the spark that lit the explosion inside their universe. And now everything they built is collapsing with a speed they can't comprehend and a force they can't negotiate with. They're powerless, not because you took their power, but because their power was never real to begin with. It was borrowed from your confusion. It was stolen from your pain. It was dependent on your silence. But now that you've reclaimed yourself, they have nothing left to feed on. This is the moment they finally understand something they never wanted to believe. You were never the threat. You were the test, and they failed it. They didn't realize that targeting someone like you activates a backlash that multiplies until the sender is forced to face themselves. They didn't realize that sabotaging a chosen spirit doesn't just fail, it detonates. They didn't realize that their demonic plan didn't simply collapse. It triggered a chain reaction that now reshapes everything in their life. And as this fallout spreads, a new stage begins, one that descends on them with precision, intensity, and a timing they cannot outrun. But here's the part they never accounted for, the part that wasn't in their calculations, the part that is currently turning their mind into a battlefield. The weak point didn't break because you attacked it. The weak point collapsed because it recognized you. It recognized what you carry. It recognized the pressure your presence applies to anything built on lies. And once that recognition happened, their entire demonic blueprint started unraveling faster than they could deny it, faster than they could hide it, faster than they could pretend they still had control, faster than they could mask the truth with their usual manipulative performances. And now, the collapse is spreading. It's not local anymore. It's not contained. It's not isolated to one area of their life. It's moving through every level of their influence because deception infects everything it touches. And once you expose one part of it, the rest becomes unstable. Their relationships are starting to shift. Their alliances are cracking. The people they used to manipulate are waking up. The individuals they once controlled are starting to question them. The narratives they used to weaponize are beginning to contradict themselves. The power they thought they owned is slipping like sand through their hands. And the more they panic, the faster they lose it. Because here's that brutal truth staring them in the face. A demonic plan doesn't fail from the outside. It fails from the inside when truth enters the room. And when you entered the room, truth didn't just enter, it detonated. It blew a hole straight through the core of every lie they've ever manufactured, revealing the emptiness behind their masks and the desperation behind their intentions. And now that the blast has gone through, there is no putting the pieces back together. Not for them. Not after this. Not after the way everything has flipped. And this is where the next phase begins. The aftermath. The stage where the consequences don't just appear. They hunt. They trace every action they took. They track every intention they had. They expose every move they tried to hide. Their past decisions are becoming louder than their excuses. Their intentions are becoming clearer than their explanations. Their patterns are becoming undeniable, even to the people who once defended them. Because now, everyone is seeing the same thing. The collapse wasn't random, it was earned. It was invited by their own hands. And the person they tried to bury became the mirror that shows their true reflection. But it gets more intense. more uncomfortable, more psychologically devastating. Because now, they're beginning to feel the weight of something they've avoided for a long time. Accountability. Real accountability. Not the kind they can manipulate, not the kind they can redirect, not the kind they can escape by twisting narratives. This accountability sticks. It attaches itself to their actions the way shadows attach themselves to a person in the sunlight. Unavoidable, unshakable, undeniable. And just like that, the universe shifts again. Something else emerges. Not punishment, not revenge, but exposure. Pure, unfiltered exposure. The kind that doesn't require you to speak. The kind that doesn't require you to act. The kind that simply unfolds because the truth no longer has anything blocking it. And that exposure becomes the new reality they have to navigate, the new environment they have to survive, the new atmosphere they have to breathe in. And let me tell you, it's suffocating them. Because when someone's entire universe is built on manipulation, exposure becomes oxygen for everyone except them. Everyone else starts breathing easier. Everyone else starts seeing clearly. Everyone else begins connecting dots they weren't allowed to connect before. But for them, exposure becomes poison. It becomes the very thing that dismantles their identity, their influence, their mask, their strategy. And the people around them can sense it. They can sense the desperation. They can sense the panic. They can sense the unraveling. And the unraveling is only accelerating. Because once the universe flips on someone who built their identity on deception, the reversal doesn't stop halfway. It completes itself. It carries out the full transformation. It forces every hidden truth to surface. It pushes every suppressed consequence into the foreground. It drags every false intention into the light, where it can be seen for what it really is. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Their demonic plan isn't just failing. It's being exposed, dismantled, reversed, and collapsed in real time. And the most poetic part of it all? You don't have to do anything. You already did your part the moment you refused to break. You already detonated the structure when you stood in your power. You already dismantled the plan when you didn't respond the way they expected. That was the moment everything flipped. That was the moment their empire of deception started decaying. That was the moment the universe decided the game was over for them. And now the consequences are aligning. The truth is spreading. The exposure is intensifying, and the collapse is accelerating. You became the turning point they never saw coming. You became the interruption their demonic strategy couldn't recover from. You became the trigger that dismantled their control. And now the universe is doing the rest, carrying out the cleanup, rearranging the energy, reorganizing the path. And as the final phase unfolds, they're left with an undeniable realization, not about you, but about themselves. That everything they lost not because you fought them, but because their plan wasn't strong enough to withstand your existence. Because the moment you appeared in their story, the story they wrote for you died, and the truth they tried to suppress came alive. And from here, the shift only moves in one direction, forward, upward, beyond the reach of the people who underestimated you, beyond the influence of the ones who tried to control you, beyond the intentions of the ones who thought they could derail your path. Because the plan they had collapsed, but the path you're stepping into has only just begun.